Now we'll talk to Billy. Billy.
Okay.
Billy.
This will be good though.
This one, yeah, I have high hopes.
I'm ready for some science.
Yes, I love science. Let's talk, Billy. What's up?
How you doing, Billy?
What's up? Hey, Billy.
Hey, not bad.
I'm tentatively excited, but also sad. What would you like to talk about, Billy?
No. Hang on. Let's all pause for a second. First of all, Billy, we are not going to hang all of the bad shit that's gone on in the rest of the show on your shoulders. So welcome to the show, Billy. You wanted to talk to us about intelligent design.
Yay, it's Billy. Okay. I just reset too.
Well, yeah, well, you've talked about how the genome is not really a code; it's just a metaphor. But I found like countless peer-reviewed articles that indicate that the genome is in fact a code.
No, you didn't.
Comprised of upwards of like. I did, and
no, you didn't, Billy. Billy, you didn't because you didn't, Billy. Because if I can finish my sentence, there aren't peer-reviewed articles that say that the genome is a code from one intelligent mind to another.
Yeah, that's not what I didn't say that. That's what it said.
Right. So this is why I had to make this point. Because you said that I've noted that the genome isn't a code and that's metaphorical. And then you said you found peer-reviewed articles that suggest that it is a code. But when I say it's not a code, I mean, it's not a code from one mind to another. And we use that as a metaphor because it conveys information.
Oh, okay.
See how easy this is when people actually let me finish? Go ahead.
Right. I've also found simulated models that determine or that indicate that nature is not capable of sequencing a genome, no matter how much time. Not a functional genome. The sequence hypothesis. There's no way that nature could sequence.
Why not?
Functional genome.
Why not?
Well,
what's your exclusion criteria? What's the exclusion criteria? That's you said there's no one sec. I'd like this is important. Like if we're going to assess this scientifically, and you're saying that it's impossible, and you read the articles. If you're looking at the articles, and we're talking scientifically, then there would be exclusionary criteria. They would say that there X exclusionary criteria exists, and thus it can't be possible because of this exclusionary criteria. So what's the exclusionary criteria that you came across?
I did not see exclusionary criteria. It just says that the simulations always result in genetic entropy.
Okay, we're gonna talk again for a second. Okay, we're gonna talk again for a second, Billy. So I understand. It sounds to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I could be, but it sounds to me like you read an article where scientists ran simulations based on their understanding or their hypothesis is a better way to put it, regarding how it could have been possible. And the simulations that they utilized to test their hypothesis failed. That doesn't mean that it's not possible. That just means the hypothesis that those specific scientists proposed in order to see if it is possible wasn't a valid hypothesis. There's a very strong and important difference between it is impossible and this hypothesis that was proposed to test if it is possible failed. Can you recognize that?
Well, that's not these simulations. They simulate nature. They simulate
Billy, we really need you to answer Shannon's question because this is important. That there is a difference between we don't have a model that can do this and there is no model possible that can do this. Those two things are very different. But you are claiming the latter.
Right. These are exact simulations of reality.
No. First of all, Billy, stop. There's no such thing as an exact simulation of reality. That's not possible currently. But we're asking you, do you understand the difference between hey, each one of these proposed models has not been successful.
Right.
That statement, and a separate statement, which is there is no possible model that would achieve this. Those are two different things. One is about what has been speculatively reviewed, and one is about hypothetically anything. And you are saying that there's no possible way, and I want to know where there's a peer-reviewed article that makes a universal declaration about models that have never been presented, because that should not happen in a science journal.
Okay. Maybe I did misspeak. Maybe they didn't say that it's impossible, but there's been multiple simulations and they all come to the same conclusion.
Right.
Right.
So,
And so that fundamentally changes your argument. Your argument originally was you read peer-reviewed scientific articles that showed that this isn't possible. And now your argument is you've read some articles and we haven't done it yet. So you're giving up and declaring it impossible.
Well, no, it's just that multiple
Yes.
independent experiments have come to the
So
same
what? How long have we been doing this?
I accept that. I accept that wholly. Absolutely. I accept that
we
whole
haven't
cloth.
solved abiogenesis. We don't know, we don't have a solution for abiogenesis yet, but that doesn't mean that there isn't one, right?
Miller-Urey experiment's a good step in the right direction too. That's been repeated over and over and over and over again. And we show that we can get like amino acids.
Yeah, we can get, we know that it can happen. We just don't know how it happened. But the fact that we keep failing to show how it happened doesn't mean it didn't happen, right?
Yeah. Or how they come together. Us not knowing, and we've only been a scientific species for a very brief amount of the history of the entire universe. It's an unrealistic expectation on every conceivable level that we would know the source of all life in the universe. To think, I understand the desire to want to know it, but continuously looking towards science's attempt to try to figure it out and seeing those failures as evidence that it is the insert God here is a huge mistake, because you are closing yourself up. You're giving yourself a constraint. You're saying that these failed attempts mean it's impossible. That's a huge mistake. Because if you're saying that if everybody else adopted that attitude, could you imagine a failed attempt meaning impossibility?
Yeah.
We would give up.
We wouldn't have solved anything.
We would never solve anything.
Well, it wasn't a failed.
What's worse?
Failed attempt, though.
What's worse
was successful. Sorry.
What was successful?
What's worse is even if science could somehow show that it's not possible for the genome to arrive through known materialistic mechanisms, that doesn't in any way prove there's a God. That requires its own proof. You don't just have a God win by default. That's called an argument from ignorance. That's a fallacy.
Well, it would still indicate that it has a supernatural or an unnatural
no, it doesn't.
Source, though, right?
No, you don't, well, because we aren't aware of how it could be possible naturalistically does not mean that there's a supernatural explanation. You don't get to make a supernatural even a hypothesis until you demonstrate that there is a supernatural realm and that it can in fact interact with reality.
But if we could prove that nature is not capable of generating a genome, there's only nature.
You're proposing hypothetical. Okay.
Okay.
You're proposing hypotheticals and saying, what if this imaginary thing that I'm saying is true?
Yeah. But as soon as that's actually proved, then you can call back and we'll discuss that line. But for now, that hasn't been proved.
Yeah. So I just want, before we let you go, and we do have to let you go, we're encroaching the end and there's still a couple more callers, or at least one. I just want you to just say out loud to me that science has not discovered that it is impossible for abiogenesis or for the genome to produce through natural means. I just want you to say it out loud to me. Just do it as a favor.
I can't do that. Sorry.
Why? Do
Yeah.
not. You need to, I'm going to let you go, and you need to ask yourself why you can't do that, because you admitted it both tacitly and explicitly in this conversation. Through the course of the conversation, you did. You did. Listen back. But when you were asked to do it directly, you were met with dissonance. Something in you said, I can't say that out loud. I want you to listen back, please, and try to figure out what that is, because that's an important question. Okay, Billy? Have a good rest of your
I think
day.
it's because you kind of strawman me, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Hang on. No.
no.
Hang on, because I think what Shannon just asked was incredibly important. So, Billy, let me ask you this: has science shown that it is impossible for a genome to arise through purely naturalistic means? Has science demonstrated that?
These experiments have basically.
No. Has science demonstrated that it is impossible under any and all circumstances for a genome to arise naturalistically?
These, like I said, these experiments have.
No, sir, they have not. And you acknowledged that earlier. Now you are backtracking. So now I understand you're not answering Shannon's question, and your brain has now retreated into its little safe shelter where it can flat out deny the shit that you already said.
Yeah, you agreed with us earlier.
You see, the experiments were successful, though.
We're not. Okay, I just want to be clear with you, Billy. We're not even.
Billy, you don't have the first fucking clue about science or the experiment.
You guys are not going to let me talk at all, so just forget it. You're not going to let me talk at all.
Okay. I understand your frustration. I understand your frustration, and I understand the emotional reaction. Hopefully, you'll call back some other time. I'm going to let you go. Have a good rest of your weekend.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah. That. I love asking questions like that because it elicits an emotional response because it puts you face to face, right? Because we weren't even saying that it is possible. We were just saying, can you admit it's not impossible?
It's not been demonstrated to be impossible. It could, in fact, be impossible.
It could, yeah.
We just haven't demonstrated that yet. And but the experiments were successful. Billy doesn't know the first thing about experiments or experimental protocols or what was successful or not, or what those experiments say. Instead, Billy got some information from some intelligent design proponentsists. And yes, I'll say that. Yeah,
they had evidences. I bet. Was there lots of evidences?
There were lots of evidences. And so as someone who doesn't understand the science and doesn't care to understand the science and thinks the science says something that it doesn't, when Billy got, when you frame it in a non-threatening way, he can recognize that, hey, science hasn't, this didn't say impossible in all circumstances, just in these. But as soon as you have to put that abstraction in line with his actual beliefs, that's when the wall goes up. As soon as it becomes obvious that when I say yes, my worldview crumbles and my argument falls apart, as soon as that happens, the walls go up. And you can see it every time.
Then they get mad.
Yeah, and I'm the asshole.
For asking the question. I wasn't trying to strawman him. I wasn't even saying it was his position. I was saying that he just affirmed that science hasn't currently proved it's impossible, and he affirmed it. I just asked him to say it out loud explicitly, and that went. That's important to note. That's important to note.
It may be one of the most important things that's happened on the show in months to get people to realize that, okay, since we've had this discussion and it seems you've made progress, can we agree on this point? Can you say it out loud? And when that doesn't happen, yeah, it's really
I wasn't
killing.
attacking him. I was just affirming that we had come to an agreement, and he couldn't. We're at end.